Well, hello, that's me again, and let's talk a little bit about the events of the last 3, 4 days. And I want to show you something. This is the for people who actually are armed in the United States, such as I am armed, and we love our Second Amendment here. These are 9 millimeter cartridges for guns like obviously 9 millimeter Berettas or Rugers, what have you. And you saw yourself, I just want to show you. It's Tula ammo. It's made in Russia. Tula is a mid-sized city in Russia, and it is known as the city of the armaments. It is a famous city which produced Russian arms since the Middle Ages, really. So, and it produces a lot of armor, all kinds of it, from 9 millimeters to 545 for AK-74s to what have you, 762, and it sells it all around the world, and it produces it in immense quantities, and it's not the only place where it is produced, but Russia always had a lot of ammo, and including ammo for the serious systems such as artillery, 76 millimeters, 130 millimeters, what have you, 152 for the good old cruisers of Project 68Bs. So, but that's what is in news nowadays in the hysterical and really desperate, sour-graped, butthurt all over the place, Western media, and this is the new shtick, so to speak. Oh, Russians are about to run out of ammo in Ukraine, and they have about 2 weeks left for them. And sadly, many people who with a military background in the United States, they also produce this crap and they spread it. And evidently that shows that they are not really military professionals, because no self-respecting military professional, and I don't know if Ben Hodges respects himself as a professional, I doubt now, but he also spreads this bullshit, is the fact that they need to know, using the good old Sun Tzu, dictum, that you need to know your enemy to start with. And a good thing about the enemy is following another very good old truism, that when amateurs talk about tactics, professionals discuss logistics. It's the planning, how Russian general staff plans things. And Russia is the only country in the civilized world which has this whole damn war college and military academies which are designed specifically for logistics and rear services. Why so? Because Russians usually never run out of ammunition. Because the first thing they do in any serious planning, it used to be that you had the whole staffs and main operational directorates, planning this by hand and by pen and, arithmometers. Then later came calculators. Nowadays it's done by computers and actually computer networks. And the first thing you do is you calculate not just the required force, but what goes with this force. And this is, of course, armor and supplies, so combat kits, so to speak. Russia never runs out of combat kits. And if you read even the wonderful works by David Glantz and Jonathan House, When Titans Clashed, How the Red Army Defeated Nazism, and Wehrmacht, you would read that they praise Soviet Red Army rear services, which they call the prodigious feats accomplished in supplying Red Army during the World War II. And this tradition never waned, and Russians are well supplied with the all necessary ammunition and combat kits, what have you. And it's not counted for a couple of weeks. Russian general staff are not imbeciles. In fact, it's the best general staff in the world. And when they count and calculate required force and supplies, they calculate it not for 2 weeks. They calculate it in the worst case scenario and number of contingencies being calculated or counted, if you wish, are many, many, huge number. I don't know, maybe hundreds, 150. I don't know. That's why the main operational directorate exists, and that's what they plan. So, but then again, you have to remember that by now, and all these American generals and news networks, they spread the info based on Ukrainian sources, and by now Russians should have just simply ran out of tanks, aircraft, the Russian Navy should have been sunk completely. But hey, I can understand why they do this. I can totally understand, and I stress it all the time. I write books about it, articles, what have you, for many years now, that a huge factor is the butthurt. It's a sour grapes. It's the fact that they understand that they cannot repeat it. And that is why they spread this. Apart from obviously trying to control the narrative, and the United States basically sustaining a catastrophic defeat in the international arena in terms of economy and in terms of, well, what amounts to international relations. And you already know, I wrote it, many people spoke about it, so I'm not even in the first 100 probably who speaks about it, is the fact that Jake Sullivan had the issues, well, he had negotiations with people from China, and it failed dramatically. In fact, it's not just failed. China rebutted, issued a rebuttal, and stern one, to the United States that basically it's not going to exchange its great relations with Russia, you know, especially under some threat of sanctions, and it might introduce sanctions of her own if the United States continues to persist. And after that, the Minister of the Foreign Affairs of China, Wang Yi, went on a record, and he stated quite clearly, and I just quote basically, you know, well, not basically, it's quote, that Russian-Chinese relations are solid as a rock. So, you know, considering what Chinese are and their many millennia history and ability to speak in all kinds of, diplomatic languages, make your own conclusions what solid as a rock is. I think so. Wang Yi pretty much answered all questions, and we can put to rest yet another BS propagated by the Western propaganda that United States can somehow split China from Russia. But then again, you cannot explain these products of the US Ivy League school humanities programs and international relations and political science, how real world actually works, and how military balance is formed, and how the real economy is working, you know. So it's really difficult to explain to them. They just don't teach it properly in the United States, and you can take a look at the American elites of the last 10-15 years. It's just really pathetic, honestly. You look at those US, especially Western journalists and so-called journalists, these are extremely uneducated people. I mean, they not only they lack culture, they are basically delusional, and they're delusional because they don't have any basics, they don't have fundamentals to even grasp what is going on. And that is why I don't remember who said it, but there might as well have been many people who said it, that, well, the United States is a little bit too late, you know, to this, so to speak, banquet, and they should have been reacting about Russian-Chinese relations about 10 years ago. But obviously they didn't, because they really thought that they're so exceptional, they're so outstanding, and yeah, the same as this new shtick is that Russians are about to run out of ammo and medical kit, or combat kit, or whatever the kit you want. And this is, of course, such a baloney that it's becoming absolutely risible. So yeah, you have to, it's understandable. United States is de facto is in war with Russia, but you cannot be that stupid. It is like the spreading of the totally fake compilation of some bizarre and absolutely unrelated work of the multiple launch rocket systems, by the way, Russian MLRS, and Ukrainians put them and show some, rockets flying to the night, and then say, hey, you see this ship? That's how it was sunk. And the ship is obviously a patrol ship of the Project 22160, Vasily Bykov, which, according to Ukraine, was sunk and destroyed like 3 or 4 days ago. Well, it returned to Sevastopol today, and it was recorded in just fine, no problems, no damage. But that's what I'm saying. It's the imbecilization and dumbing down of public reach now such levels that we are indeed looking at the idiocracy. And it is really sad and regrettable that many of the US generals who never won a single war in their life, a single campaign, they are ahead with their comments and spreading this utter BS and using the utter propaganda from Ukrainian side and doing this on the major networks. It's pathetic, really. So they don't understand that they kill their reputation internationally. So when Ben Hodges says that Russians are about to collapse in 14 days, I mean, what can I say? Dude, you should have studied better in whatever the military academy you were attending. Because no self-respecting officer of any nation, be it Brazilian, Russian, American, German, will stoops as so low as parade himself as a buffoon. But again, And here I want to return, refer back again to such people as Colonel Douglas McGregor, who actually produced a wonderful interview a couple of days ago. And I suggest you to listen to it because he explains the kind of decision process in Pentagon nowadays, and he explains why those people really cannot do anything about it because the United States militarily it's a complete chaos and it doesn't have really forces to do anything. And today NATO countries specifically stated, at least majority of them, that there will be no troops in Ukraine. The question immediately which one has to ask, what troops? What is what NATO, even if to imagine this hypothetical scenario that NATO says, oh yeah, we're sending the, military help to Ukraine, not just some stupid, second-rate weapon system like javelins or whatever, but we send like actual armies, actual armed forces. Immediate question is, which armed forces, what can NATO today really provide Ukraine with? Other than this ridiculous idea born out from the ignoramuses in State Department to send whatever MiG-29s of Poland to Ukraine. I mean, those people are that stupid. Yes, I know they are that stupid. And if they need the answer, they should really look at what was done by merely 8 caliber missiles. I think so. One of them was actually Iskander, because judging by the basically hole in the ground, it was freaking, ballistic missile most likely. But the rest of it were cruise missiles, standoff weapons. And the Yavoriv or Yavorsky range and what was done to it is a really good message. And now you have the videos all over YouTube of those mercenaries, those soy boys who, played a lot of games, on video and on computers, trying to get the hell out of Ukraine, and they are not able to get out of Ukraine because they're stopped by Ukrainian bodyguards and are thrown back and just basically coerced and made go and fight, in the place where they all themselves, like this Brazilian dude who is now viral all over YouTube, and other people from Great Britain and the United States, they understand it's death. Yes, that's what I've been writing for so many years and explaining. Guys, it is one thing to go to safari in Afghanistan. Maximum what you would expect in Afghanistan, and this you can also listen in my video about confusion, I specifically kind of described that. Yeah, you can have RPG flying back to you, you can get hit with the IED, improvised explosive device. Well, you can get the basically wound or be killed by the small arms fire. 7.62, well, 12.7 you don't want to get under that because you're going to be torn apart basically to pieces, but still, it's kind of like that. And that's the issue. The West and its militaries, including top generals, as it turned out, they simply do not understand that combined arms warfare is not as basically shooting or doing the Turkish shoot at the third-rate Arab army in Iraq, in the desert no less. When you are on the receiving end, as these people and mercenaries, they say 180 plus were killed, a bunch of the stores of the javelins or what have you are, the UK Starstreak missiles have been destroyed, which it is. You can see the video where it is absolutely a complete mayhem, and we don't know what's the deal with the rest of the bodies. So 180 plus killed, so I would say probably another 200, 300 maimed and wounded. So yeah, that's what it looks like. And now the guys there, those mercenaries who love to expose themselves and advertise themselves on Facebook and other stupid social networks, just note to yourself, real professionals who go to kill people, they usually keep themselves very silent and very private and don't advertise their activity. But those guys thought that, yeah, we'll go down, do safari, kill some Ruskies, you know, and now they are trying to escape desperately. And that's precisely what would expect any kind of NATO force too. And especially considering the fact that NATO doesn't have viable, real battlefield air defense. So don't give me this crap about Patriots and THAAD. I mean, none of them will intercept the salvo of the cruise missiles to start with. And then, of course, there are things of such nature as, let's say, tank regiment or tank division and assault. You don't want to face it, believe me. I've been under the tanks, you know, when we were doing our Marine Corps or Naval Infantry training in Sevastopol, in Kazakhstan. They run tanks over you. It's unpleasant, let me put it this way, and it's, yeah, it's generally, the real war is not this BS which was propagated by Hollywood and those TV pictures from the First and Second Gulf War against totally demoralized and totally incompetent Iraq militaries. It is a completely different story. People get shell-shocked and they get affected for the rest of their life. Not just some, oh, I lost some guy from my unit and yeah, I got wounded, I have the, you know, piece of shrapnel in me. Yeah, it's bad as it is, it's really bad. But it's totally different when you get under the barrage of the MLRS, especially if you get something like Tornado, which can basically blow 6 or 7 football fields in one salvo into the freaking, you know, parking lot covered in glass. Yeah, you don't want to do this. You don't want to get under the thermobaric weapons, because obviously your lungs will be exploded inside you. You know, your eyes will pop up, you know, so, and yeah, that's the kind of the combined arms warfare. That's what weapons are. That's how Russians fight wars, and they sure as hell have enough ammo to do that. In fact, Russians were preparing to fight not just Ukrainian forces. Just for you to know that basically Russia is outnumbered by a factor of 2, at least, in Ukraine. But that's enough to basically collapse Ukrainian armed forces within 2 weeks and deny them actual maneuver and, yeah, collapse them onto the cities like Mariupol, Kiev, or Kharkov, where they have those already prepared reinforced positions. And they were expecting this for 8 years. They were getting ready there. So, and that's how it works. And you have to listen to, you know, Colonel Douglas Macgregor, you have to read Larry Johnson and Patrick Armstrong and people who are real professionals and who do not, you know, buy this bullshit of Western and Ukrainian propaganda. And you will get just general idea what real war is. McGregor goes 2 days ago as far as saying that basically the war is already won. Well, it's sort of won in terms of the combined arms warfare, but there's still a lot of cleaning up and mopping up, such as the very dogged and very hard urban combat, which is happening right now into the much shrunk position of the neo-Nazi battalions in Mariupol, and then of course there is Kharkov. It will be not easy, let's put it this way, because it's a huge city and it's been reinforced for a long time, and those remnants of the VSU and especially fanatical Nazi battalions, they want to kind of make the last stand, albeit there are already news coming from Ukraine that number of the units are beginning to lay down arms and surrender. So we don't know the exact number, but what I think is 80 to 85% of VSU and Nazi battalions are basically annihilated. So we're looking at mostly urban mop-up and urban combat, and that's about it. After that, the police, pure police and denazification phase starts, albeit I would say denazification itself is already probably, in progress as we speak, and there is no better denazification and shaking people up, shaking them into the reality and understanding of the situation as, for example, Russia already pays pensions and social payments for people of Melitopol and Kherson, and believe me, this is the first time anybody was doing them such positive and human things for a while. Obviously, because Ukrainian regime is not designed to do that. So, and that's what we have at this stage. And as I already stated, the basically catastrophe of the United States in the foreign international relations arena is profound. And basically what United States and the combined West are finding themselves now is actually isolation. If China wasn't bad enough, which is huge defeat, well, India, as you already know, not only India absolutely denied any kind of demands from the United States, India already issued for Russia requests for everything Russia got, from coal to gas to technology to what have you. And Indians, as you already know, and it's been in the news, obviously not much in the Western news, although you still can find it. India wants to completely alternative payment methods with Russia, which are based solely on rubles and rupees. So there you go. And de-dollarization is hugely in progress. And how fast it will proceed, well, we already know one of the reasons for this hysteria and basically spreading absolute kindergarten level crap, which is, embarrassing really, is the fact that, yeah, many people in the United States who are in the top, not all of them are complete idiots, they understand what it means. De-dollarization means the implosion of the America's economy as we knew it. And maybe some inevitable, changes, however hard they will come, are needed, but for now, if we look attentively at the plan, quote unquote, from the United States, it is obviously Europe which will be sacrificed. And I honestly have to admit, I never saw the debacle and suicide of such scale in my life. I never thought I would. And the way the Europe basically committed suicide is just stunning. Vladimir Putin today, speaking to press, he stated that basically the only country which retains some kind of independence in Europe is, oh no, it was Lavrov, pardon me, it wasn't Putin, but it was Lavrov, Sergei Lavrov, that it is France. The rest of them, as they say, they lay under the United States. And he's absolutely correct. And fact is, France, even here, France is still dependent on the United States, but Macron, because he faces re-election, he needs to at least revive some kind of spirit of Gaullism, and to show that he's independent. I think so, most of it is for the show, and Macron is the same American and globalist stooge as most Europeans are. And we'll see. But yeah, France kinda is ambivalent in terms of sanctions, but it's too early, honestly, to make any fundamental conclusions on those matters, and that is what I leave you with. I just only want to say that if you would ask me how long the operation, combined arms part, will continue in Ukraine. I hate giving forecasts. I hate giving all kinds of the fixed dates, but couple weeks, maybe couple 3 weeks, the fundamental issue which has to be decided is what to do with the Western Ukraine, which is saturated with the neo-Nazi element and Banderista element, and I'm not sure that Kremlin itself knows completely 100% what to do with it. And do not forget, Russians and Hungarians already issued their appeal to Viktor Orban of Hungary to take them under Hungary's wing. So there could be some process of disintegration in the Western Ukraine also. So we'll see. But this is what I wanted to tell you today. And as always, don't forget to subscribe and support me on Patreon. And I will be talking to you later, guys, but I think so you have a good rest of the week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much. Bye.